It is getting really difficult now to work on my cars as we head deep in winter. It's getting colder, it's getting wetter, and it is getting darker. So I had to do something with the garage so that I can fit both of the cars in, the R8 and the MX-5. I obviously do not want to keep the R8 outside while I'm working on the MX-5 inside. I actually had a lot of plans on this garage when we bought the house, but as you know, a lot of things has happened. So obviously in like the first year we bought the house, I got an R8, so that kept me pretty occupied. And then the next year I then bought the crash damaged cars. I have just been too busy to do things with the garage, but we are changing that today. So I'll just give you a little tour on the current state of the garage. So the garage currently has a little leak coming from that glass panel there, so I've had to put this tent to cover the R8 so it does not get rained on. And as you can see, those are the exhaust fumes over there. Just a little bit of a mess at the moment. It's got all of these stuff on there. The wiring is a bit all over the place, but we do have electricity, which is good. And we've also got lights, which is good as well. There's also a lot of cobweb action, which we need to sort out. And this bit here as well has got some sort of a leak. You can see a bit of the sun right there. So that's where one of the leaks are, which needs sorting. And the roof is currently covered with moss. So yeah, that will also need sorting out as well. And we need to seal the edges because a lot of the water are seeping into the bricks, and yeah, it's just wetting the brick every time it rains. So as you can see, the interior brick is getting a bit wet or moist, so that is not good at all. When we moved in as well, there was also pretty much this room sort of half built. It was unfinished, it was insulated, there was some wiring sorted, but I've started to remove the front of it. I think the previous owner had plans of turning this into some sort of man cave, but obviously didn't get to finish it when they sold it to us, which is absolutely fine, because the plan then is to remove this front sort of wall, still try and keep the little room in there so that we can have some sort of open plan living sort of thing, and then we can shove the car in there as well, have a sofa, have a TV, all that jazz. But yeah, we're still a long way to go, but yeah, that is the main plan. And the other things that we need to do is obviously water seal the whole place up, paint the walls as well when it's all nice and dry. If you are wondering, by the way, if the roof is asbestos, I am sort of 99% sure it is asbestos, but it should be fine as long as we don't obviously damage the asbestos and release the fibers in the air. There is actually a company that can encapsulate the roof, so that will be the plan in the future. What more is there to talk about? Let's get on with it. If you are a big fan of health and safety, by the way, you might want to look away right now. I've already taken the door and some of the panels at the front of the room, and it had stayed like that for months, so we are picking up from there. These panels are surprisingly heavy and made worse by how awkward it is to carry. I then tried to remove the last remaining internal panel, but it seems like I can't remove these walls until I remove the one that goes on top. So I've gone upstairs and sort of removed that little bit of roof from there, so I know. So we're just gonna go up the top again and remove the other side as well. So here is a little situation up here. Make sure it won't fall. So this is the bit that I've started to push down already, but we've got this board that we need to cut across like so, and that's the other side which we need to deal with as well. Removing the boards wasn't as difficult as gravity was working with me. I just gave the panels a couple of quick taps with a hammer and it just came off. So current situation, the ceiling are now all off, so we should now then be able to remove these walls here. So this is how far I wanted the wall pushed back. That's about 1.5 meters, I would say, to 2 meters, just to give that bit a little bit more space. So that is it. The walls are off and the ceilings are off. So we've got a nice little line here. We just need to go and cut that down and obviously remove the walls on that. Same on the other side as well. Because the sidewalls didn't have a clear seam like the ceiling, I had to make a cut. These are just temporary cuts that allowed me clear view of where the supporting beams are.
Day 2.
I then moved on to removing this board on the ceiling, which I think the idea was to give a hidden light effect. But by removing this, it would lessen the weight bearing on the whole structure, and I could also reinforce the structure from here, which you will see later on. Along the way, I had been collecting a heap of insulation material. I dread to think how much all of these insulation cost the previous owner.
Got insulation? Look at all that spare insulation that we've got. That literally came off from these walls and at the top as well, and there's even more spare stuff upstairs.
To reinforce the structure further, I decided to make some sort of rib that goes underneath the top supporting beams to ensure it can hold a good amount of weight at the top. I made 6 equal cuts of about 1 meter 4x2s and then screwed it to the beams, and this should hopefully reduce the flexing in the middle. I then went back to the side walls to now make the exact cut since the side support beams are visible. This cut should now be in line with the ceiling. I've also now placed the temporary middle support beams for when we remove the existing structure.
Oh, we are on day 3 and it is especially freezing today. I think my dad is coming around today just to come help me out a little bit. So I've braced the middle bit so it doesn't collapse. We've only got this middle supporting beam, so we've got to make sure that that's all secured when we take all of this front bit off. And on this side, we've also got this 1 meter wall that we're going to put up, as you can see over there. So yeah, we're pretty much there, just some little bits to do.
This wall will be where the stairs is going to be situated, and hopefully it'll add further strength to the whole structure as well. I got all of my measurements and cuts sorted, and then it was time to fix everything in place. For the floor beams, I bolted them in place with a concrete floor, so hopefully this should give a nice sturdy base. At this time, my dad had arrived to help me out a little bit. I then screwed some vertical 4x2s on the sides and where the 1 meter wall is going to be. And finally, we then began dismantling the existing structure bit by bit, making sure we carefully remove the woods so that we can reuse it in the future. Throughout the whole renovation, I have been pretty much reusing the woods I had available to try and keep the costs low. And this long 4x2 I am going to reuse as the new supporting beam that goes across from one side of the room to the other. The long beam is now secured, glued and screwed, but for some reason my camera stopped recording that bit. The beam sits on top of the 3 vertical 4x2s so that all of the weight is held up by those.
Hey, we are on day 4. Look at how much progress we have done. We have pretty much knocked down the whole of this. It's still reinforced at the moment because I'm still waiting for a long wood that can go across to give it a little bit more strength before I do fully take that off.
So for day 4, I really didn't do much. I pretty much removed the remaining structures and did a bit of cleaning. We are now on day 5. The hangar is now finally starting to take shape. I just did a little bits like removing the support there and some braces here and up the top as well, which I am going to go and show you. But I am feeling so under the weather today. I feel so ill. I feel weak, but you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. So yeah, we are out here just gonna finish the top off. So the bits that we're waiting for then are the stairs. I've ordered that as a pair, and so that should be a pretty straightforward job. And then I've also ordered a long wood that goes across like so, and then I'm going to prop 2 sort of wood going up to give it a little bit more support. I've not taken the temporary support yet, just so it can hold me up while I'm at the top. So this is what the current situation looks like at the top right now. So I've been up here, got my lights. I was up here like late last night. What I pretty much did is put braces that goes across the beams just to give the boards a little bit more sort of support, because we're gonna have stuff up here, and yeah, when people go up here it needs to take a bit of weight. So yeah, we're gonna finish that off today and clean up the place a little bit as well. For the top, I started by measuring and cutting a board that will become the flooring. This is what you can see me pulling here. I then made 4 short cuts of the 4x2 that will act as a middle brace in between the beams. I measured each base of where the brace was gonna go so that it sits nice and flush. That is it, our job here is all done. We've got a nice little space to put all the stuff in here. I'm just going to leave this side as is because there's not a lot of reinforcement underneath, so we're not going to put any heavy stuff up there. But yeah, this side should be absolutely fine. So the new 4x2s have just arrived. This is a long one which is going to go underneath here as a supporting brace. I've decided to add another beam that goes across the entrance of the box to ensure that the structure is fully rigid. This might be a bit of an overkill, but it is better that way. Again, this horizontal beam will sit on top of 2 vertical 4x2s so that all of its weight is held up by those. It was now finally time to remove the temporary supports. And we even had a bit of time to test it out. And it seems to be holding just fine. The only thing that we're waiting for are the stairs, and that should be it. We are now on day 6 and we have finally got our stairs and some decking for the steps. I've already tried to sort of set it up, we just got to angle it so that is nice and flat. I didn't want to extend it out a little bit further because it's going to take up a lot of space. I mean, we have a lot of space, but I just don't want it to take up any more space than it needs to. Because I bought the stairs ready-made, I thought it was going to be pretty straightforward, but I could not be any more wrong. First, I had to cut a step because it was too long, and secondly, I was struggling to make the steps sit at 90-degree angle, so I decided to just go ahead with it. I actually ended up removing all of the steps again because, as you can see, the angle of the steps just didn't sit right with me. It was a bit dangerous. Going up it was absolutely fine, but going down was a little bit dangerous. I'm just making these little wedges to make sure that the stairs is nice and level. I don't know if you can see, but the level is now much better. It's still not fully flat, but it is pretty much close to flat compared to that. So that is now the stairs all finally leveled. I can't believe I was even contemplating of leaving it like it was. It was just really bad, and like the difference this has made is I can't even compare it. It's insane. So we have pretty much done all of the sort of main room, which is now on open plan. The stairs are on as well. I've also put a backing sort of board behind, and I'm gonna use the space underneath the stairs as sort of storage. So yeah, the only thing that we are waiting for that are the lights. That should be arriving anytime soon. I am gonna leave all of the painting, I think, in the summer when it's all nice and dry and the paint can dry properly as well. On this side, I have also sorted out this sort of shelf or storage. I've moved it back about 10 centimeters, and I've also sorted out all the shelves. So the shelf is now a little bit lower. I got rid of the old tabletop. So before, they used a tabletop, sort of a fake marble tabletop on there, which was very, very heavy, and it was starting to cave in as well. So yeah, I got rid of that. And I pretty much redid everything, so it's nice and straight, structurally stable as well. And that is it for the garage renovation for now. So that is sort of the first step and the biggest step out of the way. That is looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. It gives us enough space anyway to put the R8 and the MX-5 in there, so we can work on the MX-5 throughout the winter, because I've got some big things planned for that. So yeah, that is it for now, and I really hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have gotten this far, thank you so much for watching. Please, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like and drop a comment, and I will see you on the next one.